Hi everyone, welcome back to my garage. So, it's the weekend, time for some more fun and games and playing about with a bike. To those of you that did inquire, no, my wife didn't notice last weekend I worked in the kitchen. Anyway, moving on from that. At least not yet. Anyway, look, I've been buying presents, so I have bought Sid the Scrambler an early Christmas present. This is my cunning plan. As you can see, it's not opened yet. I know what I've ordered. I don't know how to get into it yet. But this is what I hope will be the solution to my desire to be able to give this old Super Dream a little bit of off-road capability. Now, this might be a complete disaster. It might not work. It might be a complete waste of time. I don't know yet. But we're going to find out together. So, let me just try and get this open. And what is it? It is pretty much everything, front end wise, from what we think was an XL 185 or possibly a 250. And first impressions is it does contain what I was expecting. So look, we've got I wasn't expecting the forks, the springs to be out of the forks. Yes, they need rebuilding then. But look, we have got the front end forks. We got all the top yoke, which is much beefier than the Super Dream was. I think this would just be a stronger mechanism. You know, we got proper clamps at the top here instead of just the screw down on the top of the forks. This also gives me the option to put a much higher mudguard on it, and I've got a matching brake. Is that okay? Or was that broken? No, I think that's okay. That's okay, that's just tapped off. So I've got a matching brake which will bolt onto the frame, onto the forks, and a master cylinder, and even some gaiters. And actually, I'm not sure what's in here. Let's have a look. What have we got in here then? In here there is some more fork components, I think. Yes. Okay. So it looks like the forks have been disassembled. So hopefully they can be assembled. So the question is, can I fit this onto that frame? Let's have a play. Let's see how it looks, and wish me luck, please. This might be fantastic. It might be a complete waste of time, but we'll find out together. First things first, up on a few blocks of wood, let's get this front end off and let's see what we're playing with. Yeah, that should come off straightforward enough. Okay, so there's the two yokes off, side by side comparison. You know, massively different in their construction. You know, you can immediately tell if we look here. Let's get this. The camera. So XL, double bolts on the lower, single on the upper. Super Dream, single lower, nothing on the upper. I mean the top just screws into that, so that's going to be held much more securely. The actual material as well, I mean that is thick, chunky cast with reinforced bracing, and the top, I mean that is a solid piece of metal. CB, nothing, just hollow. I mean just pressed steel. So I'm confident that is much stronger. I'm confident the forks are going to be held much more securely. But will it fit on the frame? That is the million-dollar question. So let's have a play. Let's see what happens. Okay, so looking carefully at these forks, the ones on the right are the original CB250, these are the XL. Now, first impressions were that they're longer, so they give me more travel, and the fixing points for the mudguards are much higher than the Dream. However, and there is a however, the method of fixing is very different. So on the Dream it's at the very bottom, but on the XL it's quite a way up the fork. So if we pull these down so they're approximately in line, so that's actually where the axle would be, then we see that they actually finish at almost exactly the same height. So the actual distance from the top yoke down to the axle is almost exactly the same, but they do seem to have slightly more travel on the XL. I've got the brake that would fit onto that XL fork, so that's a bonus. I don't have a brake that fits that, so I do think I want these forks. They are narrower at the top than the Dream, so they cannot go on the Dream yoke. That's not possible. So they will have to be matched with the XL yoke. Well then, what do you think the result of that little test was? Were you expecting that? I was hopeful for that, but that's massively deceptive. It does not fit. I knew it would be close, and it is close. You can just about get a thread on the top bolt and hold it in place. But definitely doesn't fit, not without some work. So, my problem is that that bar from the base of that to the top is about 10 mil longer than I need it to be to actually get the threads on properly, and the diameter, inner diameter for the bearings, looks to be too large as well. So I need that to be smaller in diameter and shorter. However, I don't think that can't be overcome. I think there's a possible solution. Let me show you what I'm thinking now. So if I just take this off for a moment. So that's sort of the correct assembly, and if I'm honest, I'm not 100% sure. The bearings must clamp in under that surface there, I guess. So they must go on that shaft there, and they need to sit in here. Anyway, we'll check that out. But if I'm going to commit to this, then I think that top edge could be very easily removed. And if I were to remove that top edge, so remove that top edge there, is going to leave me with the narrower diameter in the inner here. If I can then get the correct width tubing, I think I could sleeve this and create what would fit that headstock. So that, I think, could be trimmed off here, potentially a little trimmed off the bottom here, maybe that piece removed, and then a bar inserted, which is the right diameter, the right length, but I'm still using all the original frame, so all this strength here in the welds would remain. Is that madness? Is it possible? I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. You engineers out there, no doubt, you also be screaming at me, absolutely never. But I don't know. Okay. I'm going to take some more measurements, some more thoughts. Certainly before I cut anything, I'm going to make sure I've got a plan. And before I cut anything up here, at the very least, I need a bar made up that fits that with the bearings properly. And the outer diameter of that bar would need to slide inside here. Okay. But obviously it needs the step to prevent the whole thing from just pushing straight out. Okay. Okay, let me keep thinking on that. Alright, so that's the front end, the original front end temporarily back on until I can work out if I can upgrade that. In the short term though, I went down to see Pete, Rusty Rex, the other week. He donated all sorts of bolts and brackets and an unwanted starter motor for me. Now if you've been watching my build, you'll know that I chose to install a kickstart onto this engine because I want to save weight. However, the dilemma is that has left this hole in the engine case. And I was trying to think how to block that up. And then Pete came up with this idea. That is an empty case. There's no mechanism in it. It has been hollowed out. It weighs next to nothing. It's been blocked off. So that, I think, can actually be bolted up into place exactly as if there was a starter motor. But there isn't. But it will serve the purpose of blocking that off nicely. Well done, Pete. Great idea. So, yeah, save the weight and block the hole. Cool. Some of these bolts and brackets that he's given me, the correct ones for the CDI, the correct ones for the coil. Just started bolting them all onto the frame and the fuel tank bolt so that when we get to that point, they're in place and waiting. Cool, thank you.